by the way. And then our overhead came in just a little bit less than forecasted. Wages came in about 3% higher, overhead about 3% lower. So overall, we came in really, really close to what we forecasted. The only thing that came in a little bit off was we didn't try to forecast the customer deposit refunds. And as you all know, you get deposits in advance from customers that you have to hold on to sometimes before send them off to the vendors. We do the same. Most of our deposits are for our meetings division and our humanitarian division, and we didn't try to forecast that. But many of those customers asked for their deposits back, and we had to do that. And so overall, that caused our cash flow to go down just a little bit worse than we'd maybe hoped for. So the question is, next is, what is the state of the company? And I'm pleased to tell you that we're in good shape. In spite of losing more than 80% of our bookings overall during that period of time, all divisions combined, we lost more than 80% of our bookings. We lost, 45% of our team, of our employee team, and we lost a ton of cash. And just like all of you are, you're all entrepreneurs and run your own businesses, and so you know what I'm talking about. We lost a ton of cash last year, but in spite of all that, we're actually in pretty good shape. We were super conservative with our forecasts. And then we had some really good things happen. This Priceline thing, this contract with Priceline was a good thing. And then we also have been fortunate with our family. We've been able to invest more money into the company and keep it liquid. And we've been doing that as the year goes along with our family and Camille's and my personal investments. And so we've been making additional investments in the company as we go along. We ended the year in good shape. So the next question is, how's 2021 shaping up? And so I will show you another slide. This slide is just the airline ticketing bookings enterprise-wide. And because that's a good benchmark as to how things are going. And as you can see, the first 2 weeks of the year, they weren't as good as we had hoped, but they started out okay. The week that you can't see, which is the week that just ended, I don't have that one on here, but it was down just a little bit, mostly because of the holiday on the Monday of last week. But the trajectory is going up with airline ticketing bookings. Actually, the week before last was a record week for airline ticket bookings for the past 11 months. So that was good news. This next slide I'm going to show you is just the bookings for Andavo only. This is dollar bookings for Andavo only for the first 3 weeks of this year. Let's hope that trajectory holds place. And, really, really good news. 3 weeks doesn't make a complete, trend, but it is positive. You guys are, I think I mentioned that you booked 1.2 million last month. You've already booked 1.3 million in the first 3 weeks of this month. So you've already exceeded December in the first 3 weeks of the bookings in this month, which is great for the Andavo team. And we are seeing, that's what we're seeing. We're seeing the Andavo, the leisure travelers are coming back slightly faster than the corporate travelers. So, kudos to all of you for, being on that side of the brands. The next thing I want to do is just share a few minutes and talk to you about some of the things that we learned last year. We all learned a lot, right? And one of the things that we learned last year is that we experienced the equivalent of a forest fire. I've used different metaphors, the tunnel metaphor and the forest fire metaphor, but it really is what happened last year. And it happened all in the first week. And I liken it to almost a scorched earth forest fire. But I did want to say that we did learn some things from that, and that Mother Nature does have some built-in processes that help sometimes the natural disasters help clean up some things. And in the case of a forest fire, there's all kinds of metaphors there that we could apply to our business. But the forest fires open up the dense forest so that the canopy can create or allow sunlight to come in. As you all know, it frees the seeds from the pine cones, and then they are allowed to grow. And there's a lot of sort of renewal things that happen when there's a forest fire. And we're starting to see that. We're starting to see some of the benefits that we had from the natural events of Mother Nature. And so I want to just share a few things with you. Those of you that have been with the company for, or have been with our organization for many years, may have attended a state of the company meeting, maybe 3 or 4 years ago, where I talked about our rapid growth and how some things had kind of gotten out of control a little bit, and we needed to renew and reinvent some things. And there were some things that were in disarray. And about 3.5 years ago, we started to bring in some outside leadership. Recruited some people from the outside to help us grow our leadership team. And I went ahead and followed through on the promises that I had made several years ago, that I would sort of get the organization scaled up to where our sales were going. And I did, and I got a lot of it done, but I hadn't finished cleaning up some of the messes that I had created by growing so fast for so many years. And the forest fire metaphor sort of helped me fix some of the problems that I needed to fix. And happy to say that we're, in some ways, as ugly as this whole thing was, and still is, we're still in many ways, in better shape than we were. Let me just move from that to sort of the, long-term plan. And before I do that, I want to just share maybe a couple of other thoughts, and that is that after we got through the first week, after the forest fire, sort of got under control a little bit, we started to work on more long-term strategic things, and mostly, planning for our long-term viability. And I think you've heard me say this before, but I wanted to make sure that we came out of this leaner, smarter, and better. And so we are leaner now. We have a smaller footprint. We have less employees. We have less overhead. We have fewer offices, and so we are in a better position going forward in some ways. We are smarter in that we've been replacing we've got a lot of tools that we've built over the years that were frankly utilities that we probably shouldn't have built. Well, that's not true. At the time we built them, we were solving problems that nobody else had solved. And we were creating solutions that we couldn't find answers for in the marketplace. And so we built a lot of things that were sort of one-of-a-kind, first-time technology solutions. But since then, there have been some people that have replicated some of the things that we've done and frankly made them better. So we've been in the process of pulling out some of our utilities and replacing them with best-of-class third-party alternatives, and we've done a lot of that. But as far as the future, which I want to share just a few of my thoughts about the future with you all, is I think the world's changed forever, and a lot of what's happened is that COVID has caused all of us to think differently about what we're doing, to use digital tools and other things maybe a little bit differently than we did before. And so I want to make sure that we are competitive and that we're prepared for the future, and that we're prepared to help all of you be successful for the future. And so we're working on a number of digital things that will benefit all of you. Josh, I think if he's with us, will Kirsten says yes, he's with us. So Josh will maybe give you an update on the RevelX project and maybe some other things that we're doing. And before we do that, I want to just say that first of all, I want to say thank you, because you're all your team members, but you're also clients of ours, and we want to say that we appreciate you, that we really do appreciate the relationship that we have, all of you, and consider you important parts of our team, important members of our team. But in terms of the future, I'm still very optimistic. It's coming back slower than we'd all hoped, right? It's the combination of some of the political things that have been happening, as well as the vaccines coming out a little bit slower than maybe we'd hoped, isn't causing a hockey stick change in our sales on January 1st. But there are green shoots. We are seeing some steady increases, and I still have great optimism for the future. And important for all of you to know is that we still have the liquidity and the financial stability to get through and make it until this thing does end. And we're even making big investments in the future. We're making sure that we are protecting our runway and that we're hanging on to the cash that we need to get through this thing. But we're also investing in the future and doing a lot of things that way. So with that, thank you, and I'll let Josh give you an update on RevelX and anything else that he's working on.
Kirsten and Meredith, you guys can kind of help me out with this, but I think the main thing is that we are doing some final testing right now. In the last couple of weeks, we've really been hitting this hard. We have the platform stood up and we're in a test environment. And as of, I think, February 1st, we should be pretty close to a production environment to where we can go live. And I think Kirsten has a number of you that have reached out that want to participate in that kind of early adopter launch program and help us test it. And we'll probably pick one or two of you and have you start using it and get you set up. And then after we iron out the first kind of few bugs, so to speak, with that small group, then we'll expand it a little bit more and we'll just keep doing that iteratively. We'll just keep kind of reaching out. And so if you haven't already reached out to Kirsten or Meredith and want to be a part of testing that RevelX tool, like we had discussed, I think through the month of February, we will be able to start getting you on one by one. And it is early, like it's in very much in a kind of a beta mode. It's got some kinks and some things we're going to iron out, and it might take a month or two to get some custom development done on it. But I am really excited about it so far. In the time that I've played with it so far, I'm not GDS trained, and it's been a really interesting product for us to start playing with. And we're really excited to release this over the next month. What would you add to that, Kirsten or Meredith?
I would add that, just reminder that this is primarily meant for our advisors that do not have any GDS skill at all. So that pilot team that we're reaching out to, those are people that do not have a GDS. The secondary phase that we will roll out will be anybody that is world span that may have a team that is a mixture of GDS and non-GDS. We are not looking at rolling this out in the near future to anyone that has a GDS as a GDS alternative. So it'll be a very slow, steady, methodical rollout.
And I'd like to add to that, Kirsten. You sort of said it with the those that have a team, but we could, that applies to, I think, people that have sub-agents, which is a team, and also
right.
People that have. I know that some of you have like an executive assistant or somebody that helps you with part of the bookings because of your volume, and it could be used for someone like an executive assistant that is helping you with your productivity, doing the airfare and some of those things that they wouldn't be able to do in the GDS themselves.
Yeah, I mean, the main thing is that it's real. We are doing this. It's, I've seen it and felt it and touched it. So has Kirsten. So have Kirsten and Meredith. We've been spending, again, a lot of time playing in it, just a recent past, and we're trying to get a number of things configured still. But I do think we're going to be really close here where we can start slowly getting one by one those on who are willing to test it with us. It'll probably be in a more of a live setting where we feel comfortable rolling it out more broadly within the next month or two. But I think we can start onboarding some of you pretty close here, pretty soon.
Yeah,
and it is real. We've made more than a six-figure investment in it, and just in cash. Plus, we've got a lot of team members on our team that are all working on the implementation. So it's a very real investment that we're making.
Yeah, I agree.
Well, thank you, Josh. I think with that, I go ahead and hit the chat channel if you want to ask me any questions.
Yeah, I'll really quick while we're waiting for chats to come in too. I will add that so RevelX is what we're focused on right now. I know Kirsten and Meredith and Allie and I have started to have some other internal conversations too around getting information in a more cohesive way to you guys, and so some type of portal. And that, again, like I think I announced last time, a custom portal will be slated for later this year, or the later half this year. But there might be some things even more immediate than that we can start rolling out. And so we're talking about those too, and more to come on that. But hopefully over the next number of months, we can start getting elements of that to you if we can build that out and we feel comfortable with it.
So Kay's got some really great questions. I'll see if I can come up with some answers for them. Great questions, Kay. The first one is, how are we, how's our revenue scaling compared to other host agencies? The truth is I don't know, because I don't have access to any of their financial statements. And so I don't really have any inside information to be able to see how they're doing. What I will tell you, though, is that you're a part, because of the connection that Andavo has with the other businesses within our company, you're automatically part of a much bigger company than many of the host agencies. I think we're in the top 15 of the virtuoso host agencies, and that's just with the Andavano revenue. If you added in all the other revenue, which gives us the buying power to do things like Revel-X and get deals with airlines and other things, we're actually a lot bigger than almost all of the host agencies. Other than we're probably in the top 5 or something. But I don't know how we're doing compared to them. I just know in general that leisure is coming back faster than corporate, and the ARC ticketing numbers validate that. Any industry consensus or sound bites regarding travel trend change after pandemic? Oh boy, you guys are sort of all reading the same stuff I am. And I think it does fall partly into that number 3 question. There certainly is probably more people doing a little bit more digital, but it's hard to know because people just aren't traveling anywhere near as much as they used to. So it's hard to know what the long-term, answer to number 3 is. But back to number 2, everything I hear, both on a personal level and at a client level and at a level of what I'm reading, says that there is a lot of pent-up demand for travel, that it is boiling. We had I read one industry consultant that said that, that just particularly on the leisure side, well, I'll tell you who it was. I think it was a Virtuoso article that you all probably read as well from Bob Jocelyn, who's an industry consultant. I know him personally. I've attended a number of meetings where he's spoken to us, including a small ownership group from the BCD travel group that we're part of. And he one of the things he's saying is make sure you have enough cash to hire all the people you're going to need to hire to fulfill all the business you're going to need to fulfill when this floodgate comes open. Doesn't mean that's going to happen, but that's his viewpoint. We do have the liquidity to handle the business, so I feel good about that. That's what I'm hearing. I'm hearing that the corporate's going to come back slower than the leisure, but that once people feel safe, that the leisure is going to come back. I've already personally booked a trip for my family to go in May to Hawaii. I'm counting on getting a vaccine before then. Hopefully I will. I figured that was far enough out that I could be vaccinated. My wife and I at least could be vaccinated by then to see if that happens. But we've planned a big family trip to Hawaii. And it was all coordinated by one of your very own, Sheila Farley. It was a nightmare, by the way. You don't want us as a client. It's all agent rates and free tickets, and it's a big nightmare. But she booked it for us. Thank you, Sheila. Number 3, I don't know, online versus offline. We are certainly investing a lot of money to make sure we have a better online presence, particularly on the corporate side. But we also have a firm belief in service first, human-centered, people-centered, good old-fashioned service. And we think that particularly on the corporate side, that we will win because we've got such a service-first view of the world, that we will win with the folks that are doing the online stuff because we'll give them the best of both worlds. And I think you guys do the same thing. Plus, you're many of you are in a category where, doing business with wealthy people that don't want to do it themselves anyway. So I don't think that'll ever go away. Good questions, though. Thank you, Kay. I wished I had a crystal ball to clearly know exactly how those are going to play out. But we're investing as a family. We're investing a lot of money in this business, and we're banking on the future, right? We're banking that it's going to come back, and we're going to get it all back. Otherwise, we wouldn't be doing it.
I think something else worth noting when you're looking at us compared to other hosts is that we are a very heavy FIT host. We're not primarily cruise. And so that is something that separates us from a lot of cruise-centered host agencies whose business is not going to be returning as fast as those that do land with hotel. You guys are all really skilled in the land and tour packages, and that puts us ahead of the pack from other agencies that would rely more heavily on cruise travel.
Thank you. I agree. Any other questions for me, Josh, Kirsten, Meredith? What's on your mind? What are you guys, how are you guys feeling about, the next 3 months, 6 months, 9 months? While you're thinking about that, I will tell you that Delta Airlines has a pretty optimistic forecast. They think that Q1 is going to be fairly slow, of which we're almost a third of the way through that anyway. That Q2 it's going to start to come back, and that Q3 is going to be pretty good. That's on the airline side of the business. I read an interview from their CEO recently that forecasted that, and no one knows. No one really knows. It's a big black hole. Anybody else seen any green shoots with their clients? Anybody interested in booking? Go ahead.
I'm sorry. Sorry. This is how I just kind of just second on the fact that I think it's 2021 is extremely optimistic. Assuming that there's no environmental issues like governments continuing lockdowns, bans, etc. I think it's going to be pretty crazy. I mean, just the amount of bookings I am juggling with right now, or I should say requests from anything from last minute to even a year out. Just I think it's evident of that the demand is so high at the moment, and people who aren't comfortable traveling at the moment understand and agree that it's better to go ahead and book for the future now versus waiting until later when everyone else is looking to travel at the same time. So I think everyone is probably having the same outlook. And like I said, unless something crazy happens or things get worse, I expect this year to be significantly better than last year, and probably even better than 2020 from a leisure standpoint in some ways, just because I think the average unit sale price is quite a bit higher.
Well, I will agree with that. Sheila Farley was able to get us some killer deals. We had her book our whole entire family, 25 of us, at some combination of the Four Seasons Colina and the Disney hotel next door, and I think about half the family staying at Disney and half at Colina, and she got extremely good rates. We got good rates on the airfare, and used a combination of all kinds of deals that she was able to get us, and it seemed like the right time to book in terms of getting a deal. And I don't, those deals won't be around forever, so good reason to get your clients to book early. Jay's agreeing that sometime this year the floodgates will open with all the pent-up demand. Meredith's asking if I've had any feedback from airline contacts about new CDC requirements for testing. Oh man, I mean that's just moving so fast that I think we can probably get it. Each of us can get it ourselves in the news as fast as we could get it from anybody, but things are moving pretty fast in that area. Especially a lot of changes made since the inauguration last Tuesday, and a lot of changes being made really fast. I don't know where all that's going to shake out, but there's sure a lot of talk about testing both directions, in and out of the country. Cheryl is saying that she's starting to get some good rebooks on Viking for 2022. That's good. Yeah. Terry, thank you, Terry. I agree with you. We need, simplified information, but even, it's changing so fast that it's almost impossible to simplify because it's just changing rapidly. But I agree with you. It would be good to have one central place that we could. What is the name of that site, Josh, that we are using that gives you? I think it's on our website. It tells you about the requirements for any destination.
Go ahead.
Josh, it's Sherpa.
Yep.
Do you all know about that?
Yeah, we sent that website out, and we can resend it for those who still need it. But it's a great website, and it is on our Christofferson site. But I use it a lot. It's very easy and simple to use.
And Kirsten, will you take a note? But they may even be able to create an Ondavo one. I know early on we had talked to them about that, and so if we can get an Ondavo branded, co-branded site from them, that would be great. So just take a note, and then you and I can follow up with them and see if that's possible. And we can just link it to the Ondavo Vacations site or something.
It's probably about as close to what you're asking for, Terry, as anything I've seen, but I agree we could use better information.
But go to our. I'll post in the chat where to go, and you guys can go play with that and see if it at least accomplishes what you need to, and then you can give feedback to Kirsten and Meredith on whether you like that, and if you like that, then we'll try to make sure that we can get the Ondavo logoed one as well.
In answer to Jay, we already do have a paid membership. We already have a membership with them, so you can use the Christofferson membership we've paid for, and that we've already got, and you can, we'll try to get one for branded for your own as well. But it's more internal, I think, for you all to use. So either way. Terry's gonna tell us about something that's herd immunity. We're gonna have that by 2023. Is that what it says? We cannot hear you yet.
What about now?
Now you can. Now we can. That made a difference.
What the Economist magazine saying is that depending on the level of the country and how rich the country is, when they'll be reaching herd immunity. And they're basically saying that Europe, you'll be seeing it by probably around January 22nd, when they predict that the restrictions will be lifted. It goes through the countries until you get to also the developing ones, which it goes as far as January 2024.
Hey, I was talking to a friend yesterday that just got back from Cancun, and he said that he felt pretty safe and told me all about his trip and so forth. But he said that one of the things that they did was they had sterilized mats at the entrance to the restaurants so that you could sterilize your feet before you went into the restaurant. He had no idea how that would help anything, but that's what they're doing in Cancun. They're sterilizing the bottom of your shoes before you go into the restaurants.
Yeah, we've actually had 3 of our team members go to Costa Rica during this time, and the feedback's been extremely positive. They are doing many of the right things. So yeah, actually, one of them was me. I took my family down there. So yeah, the countries are doing it right.
Yeah, he said that was, I was kind of telling you that tongue in cheek, but he said that all the other protocols were in place too, and he felt pretty safe. The only time he said he felt a little bit, wasn't quite sure, is he went to a restaurant, there was a buffet, and wasn't quite sure about that. But all the others, he said he felt safe.
What we think is also that, the diehard travelers, they're going to start traveling. We want to, and it's all of us and many of our clients. But those clients are a little bit more conservative. I think we need to give them credit that they are intelligent, that they realize it's not really COVID to be afraid of, but really the hospital systems. The fact that if I go to Morocco and there's no hospital available for my heart attack or my broken leg, what will I do? So that complicates. I think there's 2 different markets that we're looking at. The ones who are normal or a little bit scared, I think it will take a long while for them to come back.
Yeah, good comments, Diane. I like your comments, Diane. I think Europe would be a tough sell, maybe a little action in late fall, but what you're hearing is cruising's a ways out, and so domestic in Hawaii. Well, that's what we picked. We picked Hawaii. You were also.
I was just down in Key West and Isla Mirada, and it's busy. There's no question, but it's good. I mean, everything's outside, so it makes it a lot easier. I just think Europe is. I just had this conversation with one of my good clients today, and she's not doing anything yet. I mean, nothing, So I think everybody's got to, I think the vaccinations will pretty much come, it'll feel pretty secure and solid, probably by late May. I think that'll be maybe a burst, but international travel is going to be really hard.
I
I
agree.
think that's going to be the headwind that we're going to have, because the fares are good. I've got people booked in the fall to Italy, to Venice and Naples. So it's got to be warm weather outside, but I think cruising is just, it's tough. I can't even talk my husband into going on a seaboard. I'm fine. I would be fun to go, but he's not. He thinks it's going to be, I'm crazy, as he said. Anyway.
Well, there certainly is a wide variety of people that are feeling different about the whole thing. The whole spectrum. I was talking to another friend yesterday who said that he and his family hadn't been to a restaurant since the pandemic started, and it's easier for me to probably count the times I didn't eat at a restaurant in the past 11 months. So there's a whole range of the way people are feeling about this, but hopefully we'll at least us old folks should be getting the vaccine here reasonably soon. Okay, California, still very buttoned up in here, California. Shifting soon. I read something that said that the governor might be lifting things before he got fired. Did I get that right? There's some petition going around to fire him, and he's thinking about maybe lifting the lockdown and trying to avoid getting fired. I don't know if that was true or not. Probably not, but I read something about that today. Okay, Jan, our Hawaii, one of our many Hawaiian experts, but probably the most expert because she lives there. Hawaii is pretty safe and really a bubble, at least on the Big Island. COVID vaccines are very easy, or vaccines are very easy here. They're so organized and nice. Received mine last Friday. Hey, congrats. They're scheduling 60-year-olds. Well, that's, dang it. I wished I hadn't sold my house there last year. I could go there and get my vaccine. I was a resident, except I didn't have a driver's license. Josh, my daughter, who lived there, and Josh, he went to the trouble to get a driver's license so that he could get the local rates. Yes, he's caving to pressure. So that's true what I read about your governor. He's caving to pressure. Oh, not only is he caving, he did it today, just in time before he got fired, huh? Awesome. That's good. Okay. Stay at home was lifted today. Good news, all of you. Yeah, that is good news. We on the both on the leisure and the corporate side, we have a lot of people that travel to California for for all the leisure things that you can do in California, as well as there's a whole lot of business done. Utah's pretty good. We've not been in a lockdown mode. I mean, literally every restaurant in Utah is open. Every store is open. The only thing that aren't open are things like big venues, where you've got to be, seating next to each other. I don't know. I think theaters are open. I think we're going to a movie this week with our family, but we're going to be able to social distance because we're renting the whole theater for like cheap. Like we're renting an entire theater for $150. That's how hard up the theaters are. We're renting the theater for $150, and we'll have 25 of us in there watching a movie. Yeah, everything's open in Utah. We never did lockdown, and it's people have been pretty safe, relatively speaking, I think. Harley came back from Italy for 3 months. Wow, they're handling COVID extremely well. Venice is a special experience without the mass tourism that usually exists there. That would be kind of fun to go to Venice without 1 million people crowded in the streets. The only downfall is you can't get there because the borders are closed. Okay, that's a downfall. Northern California, there's confusion about when and where to give vaccine. There isn't enough to go around. Yeah, we're having that same problem in Utah. They're really efficient in distributing the vaccines in Utah, and they've been really organized and efficient, and so they just run out constantly because they get it. They don't have it just sitting in the freezers like you've been hearing about other places. Yep. Well, hey, thank you all, and I think good luck to you. I mean, hopefully we'll get through this thing sooner than later. I'm feeling pretty optimistic about things for some reason. I've had a good, calm, peaceful feeling about it since the beginning, and I still feel the same way. We've had some amazing things happen. I mean, just this, we got this contract with Priceline. We were the only travel agency in the United States they called to see if we could help them with a big project they had. They had some of their res centers closed throughout the country. Well, most of them actually. And so they contracted with us. And we've had between 30 and 40 travel advisors working on that since. We took a break during the summer, but most of the time we've been working on it. And they've got another travel agency they've contracted with now to back them up because we couldn't handle anymore. But we've had a lot of really good things happen this year and feel blessed because of it. But I'm looking forward to this Andavo division skyrocketing because that's what everybody tells us it's going to do. The flood, as Jay said, the floodgates are going to open, and we're going to see you guys doing better than all of our other divisions, which you're doing slightly better now. Yeah, the self-quarantine, Terry's talking about self-quarantine. I agree with that. So ASTA's lobbying to allow vaccinated people to skip the quarantine. I hope that happens for me in Hawaii. What are the rules in Hawaii now? Jan, what if I don't get vaccinated? Can I still go?
Yeah, can you hear me?
I can.
That hasn't changed. You still have to do, what island are you going to? They're all different.
We're going to Oahu because we're going to the Ko'olina and the Disney property that are next door.
Oh, well, yeah, too bad you're not going till May because it's easy to get vaccinations in Honolulu, really easy. I mean,
even if you're not a resident?
You don't have to be a resident. All my friends that are here that, don't own here, but come here frequently, they're all scheduled and they're down to the 60s now. But I can give you you schedule it through Hilo and then they put you through the CDC. It's called the VAMS, Vaccine Administration Management Services. And you just put in your zip code and they tell you within so many miles and you put it in and you schedule your own appointment and off you go. But no, Hawaii's still the same. You need the negative COVID test 72 hours prior. I don't think they're giving another test upon arrival at Honolulu. They still are on the Big Island, but I don't know, with all the COVID vaccine, I don't think they're going to let up on requiring that COVID test. But the Big Island only has 110 cases total. So, we're not talking compared to the rest of the country.
Well, we're half of our family has the antibodies because they've already had the virus.
Yeah.
My wife and I are in the over 60 category, so we're hoping we'll be vaccinated by then.
Yeah, you should be. But they've had the virus and they have proof of a negative COVID test.
Well, they'll have to do it 72. They've had the virus, so they can prove that they have antibodies, but
yeah, they're not accepting the antibody test. Yeah, but that's easy to get the 72-hour test.
That's what we're planning on right now. And
yeah.
There's only 2 of us in the group that are over 65, the parents. So
I know for once in your life you want to be old, right?
Yeah.
Well, the interesting thing in Honolulu is when you call up, even for older people, they say now you each can bring a caregiver. So you ought to go over there and bring your kids because they say you can bring a caregiver and get them vaccinated. So they have a lot, and it's all Pfizer over here. They have a lot of vaccines because 20% of the population is 75 or older, and 49% of the population in the islands is 65 or older. That
So
is
they were
huge.
allocated more based on that.
Yeah, it sounds like it. Yeah, yeah.
Hey, well, thank you guys. I will let you finish up for the last little bit, but thank you all, and hopefully things just continue to get better. I'll see you next month.
Right.
All righty.
Thank you, Mike. Thank you, Josh.
Yep. Thanks.
And
Everybody.
I just have a couple other announcements, and really it is around our calendar of upcoming webinars that we have. And so we do have Hidden Doorways tomorrow, the 26th at 1 p.m. Central. We have Big Five on February 10th at 12 p.m. Central, and Uniworld on February 11th at 12 p.m. Central. So Meredith has sent those out, or will be sending out those calendar invites. So make sure you get those added to your calendars. And it's Hidden Doorways, Big Five, and Uniworld Cruise and Rail. So get those added in, and we'd love to see all of you attending that. I do want to take just a quick minute to congratulate Hal. He is our one President's Club of 2020. He had enough production in 2020 that he had over 100,000 in commissions. So I think that is a huge accomplishment and worthy of a shout out on our call to everybody. So way to go, Hal. I know your business is a little bit different and you've got a lot of Asian clientele that has allowed you to continue to have people traveling, and it's great. I'm really happy for you.
Thanks so much. Just got very lucky.
Absolutely fabulous. We are also getting our advisory board together, so I'll be sending out an email this week announcing the advisory board members for 2021, and we'll have more information in the probably next week or two to our pilot group for RevelX. As we said, we're ready to get some of that testing underway with you guys. We've been testing it extensively on our side, and ready to go on to the next step. So we'll start working towards that. So thank you all for being on our call today, and we will see you again next week.